friends and friends I have yet to meet. An old colleague used to actually say that to me. She said, Julie, everyone is your friend. You just haven't met everyone yet. But in the same breath, one of my sisters pointed out that I may be the biggest nightmare for an antisocial person, especially if they're like trapped in an elevator with me. Yeah. Okay, here we are, episode 2 of the Truly Julie podcast. And I wanted to keep the momentum going by bringing you something super fun and sexy, like, taking you vicariously inside the world's #1 resort, which is in Indonesia. It's named Nihi. We went there for our 10th wedding anniversary and never felt so poor afterwards. It's a few grand a night. Or I wanted to explore the topic of how you can look like $1,000,000 without spending a dime. I went 2 full years without buying anything new and still got so many compliments about all my outfits. And so I wanted to sort of reveal the secret behind that. But I wanted to save those topics for future episodes. Today, I wanted to talk to you about my 8-year-old Prius. Yeah, not as fun and sexy in topic as the aforementioned, but perhaps the topic you need, especially because my Prius has become one of my greatest spiritual teachers. I promise this will make sense in a bit. I think it's fair to say that almost all goals or pleasures in life are made much easier when you set yourself up for financial success. Which brings us to today's topic, the 3 unconventional money moves that changed my life. More accurately, our life. My hubby, Leif, who builds financial management apps for one of the biggest tech companies in the world, will be with us a little bit later because this topic is definitely more in his wheelhouse. And while I can't mention the mega tech company by name, I 1000% guarantee that you are a user and or a client of this mega tech company. Okay, so Leif will be here in a little bit. Very, very exciting. So hubby and I are on target to be financially independent, retired early, AKA the acronym FIRE, around age 50. We are in our 40s, so it's super exciting and rewarding to know that we are so close to reaching our goal. And you'll hear me use the term financially independent or financially free over the term retired because I think, truth be told, hubby and I will always be working in some capacity. We have so many passions and causes that we care about, and I would like to think that we are still full of vitality and valuable skill sets where we can contribute to a greater good that I really think that we will be quote unquote working till we are assured to the other side. And I know what you're thinking right now. How did you guys reach this financial independent status without making globs of money? I repeat that question. How did you become financially independent without making globs of money? And I know earnings are pretty relative, right? But based on my very unofficial poll amongst friends and looking at national stats, I will say that what we earned was considered a healthy income over the years, but it is not globs of money. P.S. It's pointless to share the exact number of our healthy income because, well, it all depends on where you live. For example, 60 grand a year can provide a comfortable lifestyle in small town Mississippi. But let's be honest, you'll need to triple that if you live in New York City or LA. So I define a healthy income generally as an earning that covers 5 main areas. 1, it covers your basic needs. I'm talking housing, food, utilities. 2, a healthy income allows you to save 15 to 20% for retirement. 3, a healthy income allows you to maintain an emergency fund. 4, a healthy income allows you to afford health insurance. And 5, a healthy income allows for some fun, like vacations and such. So back to the title of this episode, the 3 unconventional money moves that changed my life. Number 1, we kept our wedding affordable. 2, we bought a Prius. 3, I know it sounds super basic and generic, but I promise it's not. I spend within my means. Now, hubby is going to join us a little later in this episode, and he'll get to the specifics of that. One of the visuals he gives that I love is that you gotta treat credit card debt like wildfire. In order for the whole forest to flourish, you gotta put that fire out first. So he'll be here with many more gems just like that. Okay, let's deep dive into number one, throwing a wedding within your means. Folks, this is perhaps one of the best ways to kick off your marriage, on strong financial footing. By the way, hubby and I had two weddings. Our first wedding was our elopement, which took place in Valley of Fire, which is just an hour and a half outside of Las Vegas. We eloped just 3 weeks before my big brain tumor surgery. It was big insurance saga involved, big tumor, a fist size involved, the discovery, recovery after a major surgery, all of it very Nicholas Sparks romance novel. One day I will get into the nitty gritty, but for now I want to just focus on the fact that our elopement cost $100. If you're watching this episode on YouTube, you see these pictures I'm sharing with you of the glorious red rock formations at Valley of Fire. If you are just listening to us audio-wise on a podcast, trust when I tell you that this was the most gorgeous desert backdrop to exchange our vows. Our elopement wedding was just the three of us, me, Leif, and a freelance marriage officiant. Under the melting desert sky, it was silent, so still, and just so perfect. Our second wedding was 9 months after the elopement. I was totally fine with just the elopement, by the way, but my bride, Leif, wanted a big celebration because I had recovered well from a brain tumor surgery. So fair enough, that deserves a party. And two, he just wanted to make it super official in front of everyone because most people did not know that we were already married. Our big wedding took place at Hammer Sky Vineyards in Paso Robles. That wedding cost a total of 12 grand. 8 grand of it was for catering, so 4 grand for everything else. Not bad at all considering we had 140 guests. And we also fed people on wedding rehearsal night, so all in all, it was 2 whole days where we were entertaining guests, and it only worked out to about like $85 per head for the whole weekend. And trust when I tell you that this wedding was DIY. My sister Grace and I, we did the flowers. We went to Trader Joe's, we got those pre-made bouquets, and then we dismantled them and then like organized them in a way that we wanted to that looked more rustic chic. Months leading up to the wedding, I started collecting spaghetti jars so that I wouldn't have to buy the mason jars so we can use them as vases. Our wedding invite was a simple Polaroid picture. Yeah, I'm talking that kind of thriftiness. Hey, you can take a girl out of the Midwest, but you cannot take the Midwest out of a girl. And for all the Ann Arbor folks listening out there, woo woo. Full disclosure, a lot of big ticket items were given to me. Brides Magazine was doing a feature on our wedding, so the dressmaker from Australia, Grace Loves Lace, gave me my wedding dress. So that was a hunk of change that we saved. And the venue, which by the way is the most beautiful vineyard in all of Central Coast, California, was given to us free as well. That was a huge gain. And all of that came into fruition because my friend Kim co-owns the vineyard. She's a fellow brain tumor survivor. We bonded from that. And yeah, she just showed up like that, like an angel. Kim, if you're watching or listening, Leif and I will forever, forever be grateful for your extreme generosity. We love you. And the other big ticket item that we scored on was the wedding cake. Chef Ken and I met during a TV segment, and he gifted us the 1000 Lady M crepe cake. It's world famous. It is perhaps one of the best tasting things in life. And so that was a score as well. Clearly, these freebies gave us a huge advantage in not incurring costs, but honestly, if we didn't get the hookups, we just wouldn't have done the second wedding. We would have been more than fine with our $100 elopement. I mean, to be honest, think about it, right? A wedding is basically just like one night of partying that costs a lot of money. It's one night that you may be spending years to pay off. Like that math doesn't make sense to me. So we just wouldn't have had the second wedding if the means weren't there. Okay, the second unconventional money move that changed my life. Buying our Prius. Yes, our gorgeous seafoam green Prius. We bought it just before the new Prius models were getting ready to be released, meaning the dealer could not get the old model off its lot fast enough. You guys, we got the Prius for 18 grand. And aside from gas and basic maintenance, we haven't owed a dime on this car in the 8 years that it's been in our lives. So there's a hack for you. Buy a Toyota just before they're going to upgrade the model to look completely different. I'll be completely honest. The old vain Julie was not so happy to let go of the BMW for a seafoam green Prius. Folks, this is how you win the car game. You buy a Toyota, you maintain it, you take care of it, and then you drive it till the wheels fall off. P.S. It's also the most ecological way to use a car. By the way, I'm not being paid by Toyota to endorse their cars. It's just a known fact that they make really reliable cars and have been for years and years and years. They're not like one of these new car companies that come in and they're trying to reinvent making the wheel, right? All these issues with parts and recalls and whatnot. No, Toyota don't play that. And after 8 years, I'm proud to say our Prius only has about 75,000 miles. I feel like I drive around town a lot, but apparently it's not a lot in mileage. So we have many more years left on this car. So we're talking, again, no payment left on this car, really low insurance payment because it's such a practical, reliable car, and we haven't been in an accident. So the trade-off between luxury and practical just made total sense for us. I have to tell you a hilarious bumper sticker I saw. It said, "Cool car, ... And right underneath was a picture of a Prius. And the words continue. It says, "Said no one." Isn't that funny? It's true. No one ever calls a Prius a cool car. Listen, I'll be the first to admit that the Prius is not sexy, right? But it sure bought us a sexy beach house. It sure affords us sexy vacations. I mean, just this past year alone, we went to Indonesia, Costa Rica, Japan, Vancouver Island, and Mexico. And this year, in a week to be exact, we're going to Africa. And an added bonus of having a paid off Prius is the spiritual growth. Okay, story time. My kids go to a relatively fancy school. I mean, we're talking in the carpool line, it's just a sea of Teslas, G-Wagons, Range Rovers, and as of recent, a lot of Tesla Cybertrucks. I feel like one of those trucks can eat my Prius for an appetizer. Anywho, a school mom looks at my car and says, "Oh, you've had that for a hot minute." You guys, I felt so small immediately. My family and I, we immigrated to the US when I was in the 2nd grade. Her comment took me right back to that moment because I was a foreign student, my clothes were outdated, my lunch smelled funny, and the kids made sure I knew about it. And her comment took me back to that place. But then I sat with that sense of embarrassment and I had a total light bulb moment. I was like, oh my God, this snooty remark is just a reminder of how much more self-worth work I have yet to do. Because it's like, I barely even know her. Why am I letting her opinion of my car that gets me from point A to point B very safely get to me, right? This is a car that allows me to fit all my surfboards and my kids all at once. It's amazing, right? And I just love, as a grown-up, having something that I barely have to maintain. If there's a heap of sand in my car, no big deal. If the kids spill something, oh, who cares? I love that I'm not that mom that like loses it because my car is so precious. It's not. This school mom has no idea that having a sensible car has allowed us to buy a 4,200 square foot home at the beach. This school mom has zero clue that because we're a single car household, we've more than doubled our budget for travel so we can stay at the Aman resorts of the world. But truth be told, just me needing to share these details even out loud and think these thoughts out loud tells me I still have so much self-worth work to do, because honestly, I owe zero explanation for living my life the way I want to. A few months ago, I emceed a black tie event and I rolled up to this fancy hotel in a ball gown. And the valet guy looks at my Prius and he's like, then he looks at me all dressed up and he's like, something doesn't match here. And I remember feeling squirmy again. And you're right, I said, aha, I have self-work to do. So thank you, my Prius. Thank you, my Buddha. So how do I combat that embarrassment or that sense of shame? Each week, I silently thank my Prius, aka my Buddha, for giving me a low-stress, high-quality life. And as wild as this sounds, I also silently thank that school mom, because it was her little car remark that really woke me up and made me see that I should never let the opinions of others dictate the quality of my life. Now, if you have enough wealth to have fancy things without jeopardizing financial independence early, good for you. But the reality is, most of us are not in that position, hence this episode. I hope you're able to see that, Leif and I let go of our egos. We made a few simple trade-offs, and those few simple trade-offs really set us up for financial success. Which brings us to the third money move that changed my life. Okay, this sounds super basic, but I promise it's not. Spending within my means. And to elaborate on that thought, we're gonna bring in Leif.
The first step to spending within your means is getting the lay of the land. This means blocking some time for yourself and maybe with a partner, gathering some information so you figure out what you're spending on now by some broad categories. The second step would be looking at those numbers and then really thinking hard and making some choices about what matters to you. So I don't choose to prioritize my clothes or my car, but I do prioritize spending on trips, spending on my kids' education, spending on my health. All right, the second one is to create some rules and to automate your spending. So there is a full-blown conspiracy to sell you shit. There's probably a video on this ad that's going to sell you something. Every occasion, every upgrade, everything is engineered to make you want to buy something. And so if you've done the work ahead of time and you have some rules to say, I'm going to be skeptical of what they're trying to sell me, and you've automated your savings, so this means that after the lay of the land of where you're at, you build in a small amount of savings that just automatically goes out of your account into an investment or a savings. Those two things will set you on the path to spending within your means. All right, so the third one is, in this environment, when interest rates are high, avoid taking a loan on something. So this could be a car, not a house, but like avoid taking a loan on a car or a piece of furniture or some other kind of large purchase that you want to make. And consider that maybe you have to buy something cheaper and pay all cash, or you could buy something used. That's another viable option you should do.
And ecological.
Yeah. One of the biggest factors for me and Julie has been that we have not taken on high interest debt. And part of that is luck. So we bought our house with low interest rates. We took a loan for a car, 10 plus years ago, and we paid it off. And we've avoided other high interest rate debt.
So like school loans.
Yeah.
So that's a disclaimer that we want to put out there. That was a luck on timing. And so hopefully you'll be patient and wait for when the timing is right for you to take on loans if you need to. And we don't want to be so redundant with the credit card debt speech, but that's the first thing you got to take care of. If you have credit card debt, pay that off first, because that is you're standing in quicksand.
So the first step we mentioned, getting the lay of the land, we found that to be really hard, and we've seen that for other people as well. So we're trying to figure out a playbook that we can give people. In order to create that playbook, we love some volunteers that we can work with. And it would probably be a 30-minute call, maybe some information that you provide beforehand. You don't need to provide your actual financial numbers. We could work around that if you're kind of sensitive about that. And it would hopefully kind of set you off on the right path for the next two steps as well.
Wow, it's like financial consulting for free. Yeah, you heard that right. Free financial consulting, no strings attached. If you're interested, the sign up link is in the show notes for this episode, or if you're watching this on YouTube, the link is in comments. I know what you're thinking. Hubba, hubba, hubba. You will forever be my crush. Big ups to my husband Leif for being with us today because you guys, I'm super outgoing. He's exactly the opposite. He does not like doing anything like this, so I really appreciate that he did this for me, he did this for you, and he did it for all of our financial health. Okay, there you have it, my 3 unconventional money moves that changed my life. Now that you know so much about my finances, all the skeletons out, I would love to hear from you. Your pitfalls, the hacks, what worked, what didn't, all of it. So hit me up on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or YouTube or wherever you're finding me. I would love to hear from you. Psst, you know your comments and subscriptions really carry a lot of weight for independent creators like myself. So pretty please. And last but not least, thank you, thank you, thank you for your precious time, the ultimate commodity.